In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans to add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God, for he's the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I lived to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Neter, oracle scriptures and writings that came on the continent of Africa thousands of years before any organized religion. We thank God for Moses in the Torah, Jesus in the Gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. I greet everyone in words of peace. To my Christian family, praise the Lord. To my Muslim family, assalamu alaikum. To my Hebrew Israelite family, shalom. To my black conscious family, hotep. And to my people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. So again, this is Brother Sharif with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Sharif Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share the channel so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. Before we get into this much anticipated interview with our young brother here and his beautiful mother, couple community announcements. Every Saturday we have a Lafia's teaching group at Vonnie Grimes Gym between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And that's at Vonnie Grimes Gym every Saturday between 11 and 1. So if you got a niece, a nephew, grandson, son, daughter, whatever that needs some guidance, bring them on through. And with Alafia's teaching group and other concerned community members, we will give them the guidance needed to lift their mind, body, and soul. So again, that's every Saturday at Vonnie Grimes Gym between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. On December the 1st, with that same group, God willing, we're going to take some youth down to Baltimore on Pennsylvania Avenue so they can see firsthand the Black Wolves youth group, which is a military-style youth group that we plan on bringing here to York, PA, to once again lift the mind, body, and soul of our youth. So on December the 1st, we'll give the exact time. We're going to go back to Baltimore. You know, we were down there for the Blacks and Wax Museum on North Avenue. We're going to go on the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue with my good brother, Mosiah Fit, who is the general of the Black Wolves group. And we're going to take some youth down there, get them out of York, and see if they are interested in joining the Black Wolves. So that's on December the 1st. On December the 2nd, at the state capitol steps in Harrisburg, my good sister, Catherine Ligero, who is the leader and organizer of Harrisburg Rising, we will have a rally at the state capitol steps on Sunday, December the 2nd, between the hours of 1 and 4, and it's called Pennsylvania United Against Terrorism and Racism. Pennsylvania United Against Terrorism and Racism. I'll be one of the keynote speakers on that day, and my title will be 500 Years of Indigenous Resistance. What do we do now? 500 years of indigenous resistance. What do we do now? We have other keynote speakers there. Brother from Philly, I believe he's running for city council. I have some brothers and sisters hopefully coming from York, Baltimore, and Philly who's going to walk me up to the steps. So it's going to be epic. So tune in on Facebook. If you want to go, you're more than welcome to go. But it'll be at the state capitol steps, speaking out against racism and terrorism in the United States and abroad with solutions. On December the 5th, we will have right here in the studio, God willing, we will have a celebration for the York High Bearcats football team with their historic season. I don't think the season is over yet. I think they have another game or two to get to the state finals, but the Hour of Power wants to recognize their historic season. We'll have some parents, some community members, some honorary members right here. Sister Alicia, who is our producer, she has it up on her page to donate. It's not an easy thing to make that happen because we have to use the other side of the studio. We want to have catered food for them. We really want to pour into these young men because they poured into us with the great season that they have had, and it's not over yet. So Wednesday, December the 5th, we are going to have a celebration here honoring the York High Bearcats, and we have the donation, the fundraiser page on Sister Alicia's page, and it explains what we're trying to do. We are not thieves, so if you donate, it's going to go to a good cause. So that's December the 5th. If anyone else has any other announcements, the Hour of Power and the Black Love Movement, we are about community and building and networking with those who are into lifting the mind, body, and soul of our people. Real quick before we get into this interview with our good brother and his mom, I had to go to the doctor today because I've had little symptoms of bronchitis, and they were steady trying to get me to get a flu shot. So, the Hour of Power is about lifting the mind, the body, and the soul. Just in case CVS, Walmart, or your doctor tries to pressure you to get a flu shot, I ain't telling you what to do because you're grown or you're the guardians of your children. But just let me tell you about the ingredients in flu shots, and you make your own decision. This is the ingredients in flu shots. Multiple influenza viruses, H1N1 virus, H3N2 virus, whatever the hell that is. Formaldehyde, which is a chemical that makes you look and be alive when you're dead, and it's toxic and it has high doses. That's in it. Aluminum salts. Why would you want aluminum in your body? Thimerosal, which is an organic form of mercury. Chicken egg proteins. Gelatin, which comes from the hoof of a pig. That's how you get Jello, from gelatin, which comes from the hoof of a pig. Mercury and antifreeze, the same antifreeze that you put in your car. Those are the ingredients of flu shots. Influenza viruses, H1N1, H3N2, formaldehyde, aluminum salts, thimerosal, chicken egg proteins, gelatin, mercury, and antifreeze. You make the decision. That's what the Hour of Power does. So without no further ado, and one more thing. Sisters, wear your crown. Wear your crown. If you're dignified and you're striving to be dignified, stay dignified. There's nothing that you have to do extra to wear your crown and be a queen. I say that to say because our sister Jill Scott, she had a little moment on the doing a concert the other night. She had a little flashback. We're on TV, so I'm not going to go into detail what she did, but it's very uncharacteristic of her. Sister, wear your crown. You are a queen and you are known for being dignified. Do not let Satan get you out of character. And I say that to all my sisters. Wear your crown and stay dignified. Don't let no one get you out of character. So, without no further ado, we have our dear sister, a longtime friend and family friend of mine, Miss Sweeney. Can you introduce yourself, sis? Talking to the mic, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tazza Sweeney. I'm a native York, Pennsylvania resident. Currently, I live in Maryland. That's where I raise my kids. I've been there for 16 years now. So I see a lot that goes on in York. I come back, I try to participate in as much things as I can, but I'm also still living my life in Maryland, and I have my son Zahire, who is now a senior in high school, so we're striving to further his education and visit schools and explore different avenues for him to continue his education.
Thank you.
I also have two other children.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest son, Zahire Beatty, and my daughter, Samaria Harrison, a beautiful granddaughter that'll be 9 months on Friday, Demaya. So I have my little extended family. So.
Right, and our good brother Rashid is in the house with the Hour of Power today. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And then the man of the hour, my good young brother Zahire. Introduce yourself, brother, and then we're gonna let you bless us with your wisdom.
My name is Zahire Beatty. Like my mother said, I'm a senior in high school. From York, but moved down to Baltimore when I was young. and I'm a student athlete.
And what school do you go to in Baltimore, if you don't mind telling us?
Green Street Academy. It's a charter school.
Okay. Now, is that close to some of the because I know Baltimore is real well known for a lot of historic basketball schools, and then it slipped my mind that fast. Y'all help me out. Some of them well-known schools in Baltimore for basketball, like David Wingate and a lot of
Emerson.
Dunbar.
Yes. Are you close to those schools or?
Nah, my school for West. I'm close to Emerson and Frederick Douglass.
Okay, well, I've heard of Frederick Douglass. Okay, all right. Yes, Baltimore is a basketball monster. And, I mean, football too, but me being more leaning to basketball. Yes, Dunbar, and it's another one. I can't think of it. It's very well known. It'll come to me.
Polytech.
What is it?
Poly Technical High School.
Okay.
That's
it's another one.
Right.
But definitely Dunbar. I mean, they've been a long time. And a lot of the diocese schools, the Catholic schools down there, are very well known. And just to put out there early, we have our brother on. If you want to call in, make a comment, give him some encouraging words. 717-846-5067. 717-846-5067 is the call-in number. So, young brother, it was a couple of topics that you wanted, to speak on, especially coming from a youth's perspective. What's your view about like what's going on, not just here in York, PA, amongst the youth? Like, what do you think they need to rise above some of the things that's going on? Like, what's your perspective on that?
Well, for the youth, like, we just need stuff to do. Like, back in y'all days, like the 80s, early 70s or 90s, I had rec centers open, after school programs, and etc. But nowadays, we don't got no type of rec centers open, no after school programs, or they end so early, like 5 o'clock. And, like, people, mothers, and they just, like, not getting off, or they just got off. So, like, there's nothing else to do, like, around, like, let's say 6 o'clock. And you don't got to be in the house till, like, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we're going to be outside where we're not supposed to be at. We're going to try to make something fun out of nothing. And we're going to try to be reckless because we're young and we're African American. So we're just going to try to do what we got to do.
Now, what you're saying is factual, but are you coming from the perspective of what we used to have and don't have in York, or are you saying it's the same thing in Baltimore, A, B, C, D, you don't have this, and that, or are you just talking about from York?
No, it's the same thing down Baltimore.
Wow, a big city like that?
Yeah, like the rec center around my old way, that closed. And me and my friend, we used to play basketball almost every day at the school. But then that closed down after like a couple weeks. Then we used to go on the weekends. We got Ellicott City. That's like 30 miles outside of Baltimore.
Not 30.
Not 30, it's around there.
It's about 10 or 15 miles, but
far distance.
a lot of the funding was cut in the city.
I was just about to ask you that because I know you would have inside information on that. The funding was cut to serve the youth.
They cut funding, and I would say maybe it was 30 or 40 rec centers that were closed. There was a gentleman in the neighborhood that we used to live in the city. He was a football coach. He went around, got people to sign a petition to keep the rec center open a little longer, but it's still difficult because, like he said, the rec centers are either closing at 6 o'clock, they're not having access to 7, 8 o'clock. The city cut the funding for that, and now they have money for more police officers to be on duty, but not, the rec centers being open to support the kids.
And you referenced 30 to 40 centers. Are you saying those closed over a period of time, or not all at one time, did they?
Oh, they were closed almost all at one time.
Wow,
so it was like, say for instance, in the west part of Baltimore where we used to live, there is, say, 10 rec centers. Out of those 10 rec centers, maybe 1 or 2 was still open.
Wow. And it just shut them down all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see now, Zahire? Did you see a difference in crime or negative behavior out of the youth once those centers closed as compared to when they were open?
I want to say a difference in crime because crime been around Baltimore for a lot of time. I say
Right.
skyrocket.
You said it skyrocket.
Yeah, because
And you could probably connect it to it's nothing, for them to do.
nothing else to do. Because I'm gonna give an example.
Mm-hmm.
It was a couple of summers ago. Me and my brother, the rec closed, and we used to I ain't gonna get a lot of details on it, but we found a way to get in the rec so we can play basketball, so we can stay out the way.
Mm-hmm.
But that everybody got onto it and they caught up with us, so we had to stop doing that for a little bit of time.
Right.
Then
That is unbelievable. I thought, 30 to 40 in a big city like that, and what they expect is going to, happen with closing that many avenues for youth to have something. And in these places, it wasn't just places for youth to go play basketball. I imagine they had other services like after school help, homework.
Yeah, they have after school programs, basketball leagues, Zumba for seniors. Like the rec centers there were geared toward not just the youth in the community, but the community in general. So, it was a positive thing. A lot of the little league football teams within the areas, were able to get shelter if it rained or use that rec center for a football banquet or an event to raise money for the football team and things like that. But, with money being cut, budgets being cut and things like that, there's not enough people that'll push for the youth to be youthful. But then you have people that'll complain when the youth are committing crime. If you don't give the children an outlet or resources to learn positive things, there's going to be a negative result.
Right.
So the same children in the neighborhood that may have been in the rec center were the ones holding drugs, carrying drugs, having guns. Over the course of the years, my boys seen a lot of their peers either be convicted for shooting, murder, or even being killed. They went to viewings of their friends, and that's hard. For you to see, to make that a part of your everyday life. That's my.
Almost like it's expected that someone is gonna, lose their life.
Yeah, and you'd be immune to it. So, my goal with my children when moving to Baltimore was it was more positive for
someone calling in already. Hold that thought, Miss. Someone hung up. Okay. All right. They'll call back.
My goal when I moved to Maryland, number one was my aunt was there by herself, but also for my children to see a more diverse and see more of our people in power, as far as teachers, mayors, politicians, things like that. It's more diverse. So that was my goal for my children to be able to grow up in the area and see, you don't have to be a certain race to be high in power. So.
Right. Zahire, you're a senior in high school, right?
Yep.
What do you see going on in the education system in your school? What's going on in Baltimore with that?
Well, my school, we get our own funding. So,
okay.
My education is good, but through the whole Baltimore, our education system, it sucks. We get the lowest of the low.
Is it the teachers, the quality of education, or is it what is it that's preventing them from achieving anywhere else? I always see negative stuff coming from Baltimore. I done seen about 3-4 videos in the last month of a youth attacking a teacher.
Yeah,
2-3 of them was from Baltimore.
And that was
Have
terrible.
you seen behavior like that in your school? Or?
Not my school, because we're
Not
not
you.
like that. But
That was like unheard of when we were going to school. A student attacking a teacher, we may say something, out of the way, but this stuff now is unreal. What do you think about? I wanted to get back to the youth programs. Remember that we had the CA, we had the Printer Street Center, we had the College Avenue Gym, which our brother Diaz Woodard has done a great job of breathing life back in to that place. That's where we actually have our youth group. Dominic Chapman is doing a great job with Salem Square. I was just at a meeting with him yesterday. It's going to be called the Championship Center, where he has all different kind of things going on there, and the grand opening for that is December 22nd, and he's calling that like his Christmas gift, to the community.
That's good.
Yeah, so York is coming back around. Still got some work to do, but you remember those places coming up, back in the day?
Yeah, the Printer Street Center. They had the Jefferson
Yeah, because you're from
Center.
out west then.
They had the Jefferson Center out Parkway, the CA. That was a place, yeah.
Wellington Center. That'd
Out
be out
east.
this way here,
Yep,
right?
out east. Yeah. It was
Wellington.
always something to do during
Even
the
here,
summer.
the Rotary Club, where this studio is, I remember you come here and shake a leg a little bit. I don't know if you remember
In the
any of that.
summertime, they had the box at the park where you had the green box. You would go on field trips.
The Mission.
The Salvation Army. It was always something to do.
Right.
It was always something to do. And now, the thing is, it costs money to run things, and I get that. But sometimes if we would take away from ourselves and just pour in our youth, that $10 a day that you may spend on lunch, pack your lunch for the week and, donate that $40 or $50 to a youth group to where they be able to do something. Because the children are our future, and if we don't pour into them, then we'll have a bad ways to go being older. I mean, it's terrible that the resources that we had aren't able to prosper for our children.
Right.
For them to lead the way for us.
And I really remember, but even with the, with the CA, it wasn't what I thought it was. I thought it had more black ownership and leadership, just to come to find out it wasn't. But nonetheless, it was somewhere for us to go. And then it's just as time went along, I guess it was the same excuse, the funding. They are revitalizing Bonnie Grimes Gym, Printer Street Center, which is right in your backyard. You growing up out west, that's not even available. That's not even owned by the city anymore. That's privately owned. That's a daycare. In there now. So how can a foundation place like that not even be available, to the community?
I was surprised when I came back to visit and Thaxton Park was gone.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was a
Salem
walk in
Square
the
is working on that too. They're trying to revitalize Thaxton Park. So our good brother Dominic is doing some great work, making these places available and trying to get us back on track. Zahire, back to your school. I'm assuming, with it being in Baltimore, is it predominantly black there, black, Latino, or is it all black?
Predominantly black.
All the teachers are black?
Yeah, except for I give 98% black.
Now, do you have male black teachers there?
I can count my hands how many we got.
Wow. Now, what do you think effect that has, not having male black teachers? You think the discipline would be different, not just at your school, but I used to be a counselor in North Carolina, and once again, all the different schools, I had access to go about any school in Durham, and I hardly ever seen any male teachers. Like, what effect do you think that has, no matter where you are? What effect do you think that has, having it and not having a male black teacher?
I don't really know, because a male black teacher, he can tell you what to do, what not to do, or his situation that happened. He can give you the outcome, just basically information, or what can make your life better or easier.
Do you think having a male teacher, that male presence, do you think that would, kind of deter some of the negative behavior you see in the classroom, no matter where you are? You think that would help if it was more male black teachers?
No.
You don't think it would? You think the children are that out of control, no matter whether it's a male or female? Your brother over here shaking his head.
Yeah.
Man, that's
This
not,
generation, I would reckless. Like,
It comes up with a lot of home training. A lot of the inner city youth aren't being raised by their parents. They're being raised by their grandparents, or some of their parents may be on drugs. Aunts, siblings are raising them, and there's no level of respect. When I walking in his school, they have a different criteria. It's from grade
Standard
6 to 12. Yes, they teach the kids not only they call them scholars. They're not students. They call them scholars. So
words are powerful.
They're preparing them for the future.
Right.
They teach them resources, how to grow their food. They have a
charter school?
It's a charter school.
Oh,
It's
okay.
privately funded. They get a huge backing from the utility company down there. Also, the board that helps finances the school. There are also people in politicians, and they have a substantial amount of money. The children they fundraise. He was on the debate team before. They went to Annapolis to voice their opinions when the state was talking about shutting down charter schools. And I just seen on the news this morning they're shutting down an all-boys charter school because they're not meeting the standards. His school has a good graduation rate that then goes on to college. During the senior inauguration, they had 6 students already accepted into a HBCU.
Wow.
And that was 2 months ago. So I mean, they teach the children not only, but those teachers at that school, I know in general, pour into the students. If they see a student that wants to learn and wants to go further, they help push them along. And I really didn't have a problem with Samaria or Rashid school, even the elementary school they went to. Their teachers were good. They were good. They really pour in. They still
Any male
keep in
teachers
contact.
in there?
A handful. You know, just like the young lady that smacked the teacher. That was uncalled for, but the teacher forgave the young girl. She's a breast cancer survivor, and it's sad that the teacher had to go through something like that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, teachers sacrifice a lot to teach students. They don't get the highest paid salary, and they have all good intentions for the kids, the children to prosper in life. So, I mean, I go into school thanking them. I thank the administration, the staff, for the parents that don't thank them, because I know my child is not an issue in school, but I walk in and say thank you. They say, Miss Sweeney, you thanking us? I'm thanking you for everybody that doesn't thank you, because you need to be thanked.
Well, from my experience being a counselor and a therapist, even here in North Carolina, I had to give a little different view on the presence of a male teacher. I think it would be huge no matter where we are, because like you said, a lot of these youth, a lot of our children don't have a male presence in the home. So when they come in a classroom and see that male presence, I think it makes a difference, even if it's just a difference at that time.
Right.
It's no different than when you're home. Children act up at home. I used to act up when I was at home, but when I heard that back gate open and I heard my dad's footsteps, the game just changed. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just straightened up. So if we would have more of that in the classroom, I think it would curb the negative behavior. I think the learning would be more. It wouldn't solve all the problems, but I think it would have a huge impact. But it's just hard for black males sometimes to get in there if they have a ding on their record, or sometimes they can't pass the necessary tests to become licensed to go in the classroom. I think it's systematic. That's just my view but I think if we have more male teachers in the school system, I believe it will make I believe it would make a huge difference. And like you said, also the pay. In other countries, teachers are the highest paid citizens in there. It's not athletes. We're here, athletes make more money, but in other countries, the highest paid people are teachers because they're educating your children. So those are things societal wise that a lot of people here in America, they just aren't, aware of. It's like the flip flop. In other countries, especially Eastern countries, doctors don't get paid unless you're healthy. Where here, they get paid for you to be sick.
Absolutely.
I just ran it down. In other countries, if the patient isn't healthy, the doctor don't get paid. He don't get paid because his job is to keep you healthy. So those are just some different things. But Zahire, is it Black History in your class, in your schools in Baltimore? Do they have Black History? Because I know you're into that and you're real Black conscious. Yeah. I've always liked that, about you, even when you were much younger. Do they teach Black History in Baltimore?
Well, in my school we do, but since the cities, we were labeled as fundamental arts.
Fundamental arts.
But
what exactly does that mean?
I don't really get into it. I don't really know. But the teacher, I went in that class before, they listened to Tupac, like, criticizing, picking out certain things he talking about in the community songs, looking at African sculptures.
Oh, okay.
So they had a label as fundamental arts. So
but you said your school does teach Black History? What do they teach?
What they teach in that class? I only been in that class like once or twice the whole school year.
Is it a part of the curriculum? It's not, so it's optional whether you take it.
They just talk about what did they talk about in that class? Like that, like some parts of slavery. Then like
the typical Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks.
Yeah, then they go to Africa. Like what would it have been like if we were still in Africa?
Okay.
So he always gives the teacher a challenge.
So they don't sound like they get too deep with it, but at least they have some aspect of it. I'm gonna have to make a trip to Baltimore, talk to them about that.
We used to have Black History at York High.
Right.
I don't know if they still have it.
White, I don't know either. That's a good question. A white teacher, I was just talking to Kia about that earlier. A white teacher used to teach Black History class at York High, and then Mr. Holmes, who is the now superintendent of York City School, he took over when I was there, and I used to give him a run for his money. I know he was like, man, this dude.
Yeah,
but it was real basic. It was real basic. The typical, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, maybe a little
Garvey.
Bit of. No, they never talked about Marcus Garvey.
They never talked about Marcus Garvey.
Nah, that's getting way too deep for them. Maybe a little bit of Frederick Douglass. That's about it.
But even in Maryland, a lot of people don't know. They have the Underground Railroads over the Eastern Shore.
Right.
A lot of what my children learn from Black History, I kind of taught them because we talked about certain things. They come and ask questions, and they'll talk to my mom, my brothers, my aunts, my uncle. When he was alive, it was a lot. They ask questions, and they read. And they'll challenge what they read and ask someone about those questions.
But your family, even see, it looks like we might have someone calling. Our power. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't see a number coming across. Well, I mean, if someone needs a call in, it's 717-846-5067. I don't know what's going on with the phone line there. 717-846-5067. Zahire, you think that should be a part of the curriculum in schools across America, Black History class, or you just think it should just be optional?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. Okay, now a number's showing. Our power. Yeah, state your name, please.
Tazza Sweeney.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yes, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a comment.
All right. Can you turn down the little background noise there?
TV.
Can you turn down your TV, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I want to make a comment about your Black History classes.
Okay.
Okay, back in the 70s, we fought very, very hard for Black History to be brought into our school.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, it was a black man that was teaching Black History,
Mr. B.
Benjamin Bond, start teaching Black History. What happened through the years, students stopped taking the course.
Mm.
They lost respect and pride for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, along with when they took the respect out of the community, we lost our students. You were speaking of the centers being closed.
Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening was once they closed those centers and the kids went to the street, which created a lot of the problems that we're having today.
Mm.
Okay. Also,
And what was the reason for that, Miss Sweeney? The centers closing, was it always finances or not enough funding?
Well, they claimed it was financing, but you saw the inner city centers closing, and you saw the suburban centers developing.
Wow.
They,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
yeah, right. All of our programs, and then up until a few years ago, the College Avenue Gym predominantly was not for the blacks, the black youth. When you'd seen, if you went up there, they were playing volleyball instead of basketball.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, those are some of the things I saw that was kind of eye-opening at the CA.
Right.
They would actually
And
put us out so they could play table tennis. And the people who lived right there in the hood, they would put us out so the others could play table tennis. I was like, wow.
Yes, and you're correct with that. And another part of the problem was Christmas Attic Center, prior to moving to that new building, when we grew up, it didn't cost you. You didn't have to have a membership
Right.
for each one of your each one of your children to go there. The people that live around Christmas Attic that really needs the recreation program can't afford to pay $150 for each one of their children,
Right.
which most of them have more than 2 or 3 children in the family, to enjoy the center.
Right.
And because we couldn't afford it, they brought other people in that could afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, they turned their backs on our inner city youth.
Wow.
That
We have to do for self. That's what it basically.
we have to do for ourselves. We also have to learn to respect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Right.
if I don't know if it was like that in your days, but if you did something on the other side of town, that neighbor or an adult on that side of town was able to correct you.
Oh yeah.
Therefore, you watched your mouth and watched what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Community policing.
But nowadays, if you say something to somebody else's child, the parent wants to fight you.
Right.
I feel as though that's one of the reasons our children do not have respect for elders.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have to respect you per se, because their mom will tell you off.
That's really sad. Yeah, I've seen both sides. I've seen the community aspect of it. We had Miss Harris on a couple weeks ago. She has a big family, and I would always go to her house. She would look out for me. Mr. Kirkland would look out for me. The Mohammeds, which was a Muslim family, they would look out for me. The Dominic Chapman's family, the Kirklands. I had all kind of people, around me to look out for me, and we just don't, like you said, we just don't have that anymore. I don't know what happened, but we need to get back to it.
Well, some people are afraid to say something to other people's children because you have to fight their mom.
Right. Yeah, that's really sad. But we're gonna get back to our. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Did you have any other? Any other
I'm not
comments?
one of those if your child is doing something wrong, I'm going to speak.
Right. That's the way it should be. That's what we need to get back to. And but thank you for calling in and giving us that wisdom and jewels, especially from back in the day, and giving us the perspective of the Black History class. And keep tuning in. We do this every Wednesday at 8 o'clock on Channel 16, Local Access TV, and streaming live on Facebook. So please share the message for us. Hello?
All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's your aunt, right?
Yes.
Yes. So she gave the perspective of how it used to be, where we are, now. So yeah, we were talking about the Black History class. I believe that should be a regular curriculum, not just for us, but for Our Power.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Takia. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now. How you doing? It's my baby mama on the phone.
Don't do that. Do not do that.
Don't be disrespectful.
He played too much.
This is Mrs. Hamid. Sorry about that. I had a little brain freeze like Jill Scott did.
I'll tell you later.
Nephew.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing as a leader, as a young man being a leader in your community and in your school?
I ain't really doing too much. Just staying out the way. That's it.
Nah, you doing more than that, bro.
Just staying out the way. I give people like information about us here and there, but
That's
they don't listen. So just.
But how you know that though? If one gets it,
do?
you know.
I can't do so much because you can give people knowledge and information, but nowadays everybody think they know everything. So I really can't do everything I really want to do.
Anything
So
else?
drop this
Do you
nugget
have
and I'll
any
let
you
y'all
have
know.
any recommendations or for him? Because it seems like you're, hinting around to something. You have anything, any recommendations for him or advice?
Well, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep giving the knowledge. And just remember, y'all know I always take you to the Bible. God teaches us that one man plants, another man waters, but it's God that grants the increase. You may be planting that seed right now. Somebody else may come along and water the seed that you have planted a long time ago. So just because you drop a knowledge and it seems like they're not paying attention, it doesn't mean that they aren't.
Right.
You're right, and then also sometimes in life, you can say one thing to one person. You may think that person didn't listen to what you said, but at the end of the day, you touched them and made them aware of something, enlightened them, and they make a change.
Yeah, you never know. And I know it's frustrating because I've been doing this, kind of work longer than you've been living. I know it's frustrating. You putting the information, you see it clear as day, but someone else may not see it at that time. But, like she said, you never know where that nugget or that information is going to go. We've all heard of Minister Malcolm, who is my favorite. He used to sell drugs. He was on drugs. He was running women, prostituting, the whole nine. Got locked up, and even after he got locked up, he still didn't get it until one of Elijah Muhammad's ministers in there started speaking to him, and he still wasn't getting it. And it wasn't until he got down on